and welcome to OCB Natural Edge. I'm your host, Sean Sully Sullivan. I'm here with my two co-hosts, Jody Shickley Wright and Aubrey Warwick. In this episode, we're going to be doing our deep dive into the men's physique category. We're going to be covering the OCB Spring Nationals in Illinois, the OCB Southwest in Arizona, the Best of the Berg in the Berg. We're going to highlight 3 new athletes in Spotlight, and question from the field: how do you not gain a ton of weight after you compete? So let's start with our OCB insiders first. We're going to be talking about our men's physique category. It's been around for a long time, but we still do need to give it a little bit of differentiation. I still see from time to time some common errors where people are coming into the men's physique category, coming in a little bit too thick. They don't fully understand the symmetry. But for the most part, we really nail men's physique across the board. Would you guys concur as far as your judging standpoint that we pretty much got this one down?
100%. It's been around for a while. The training remains consistent. I've seen consistent judging across the board.
Mm-hmm. The only mistakes I really see with the men's physique is people prepping for it, and would they be better in other categories? So let's do our deep dive. First thing we'll talk about is that symmetry component for men's physique. Symmetry is a V taper. This is the category where you want to see the smallest waist measurement, the widest lat measurement. So you're looking for that small waist, narrow hips, wide back, cap delts, but you got to have some quad display. You need to see some calf and some quad development. Now, the reason that we really started emphasizing quad development with our judges happened about 2019 or so, and we were at a major pro show, and we noticed that some of our top pro athletes, their legs had really atrophied from the year before. I mean, to the point where it was scary. I thought there were some injuries or something happening, and I started talking to the athletes, and they told us that their coaches had told them, don't train your legs anymore because it'll make your waist thicker, and this is an upper body show only. I don't know who put that memo out, but it did not come from the OCB or the leadership team, because that is not the case. Now, we're not looking for the same level of thigh density as you would have in one of the other male categories, but legs still do count. So we need to have a little bit of a taper in the legs, a little bit of a development in the calves. So that's the symmetry component. You're looking for more width than density. And that's the biggest difference in the symmetry between that and, say, classic physique, or a bodybuilding. There's more width than density, a smaller waist, and tighter abdominals. So that's kind of the proportions we're looking for. I always like to harken back to the old days of bodybuilding. If you've ever seen pictures of Steve Reeves and the way that he looked back in the 50s, he was a really wide guy, but he didn't have a lot of density. He had a lot of width, the cap delts, a smaller waist. That's more men's physique. We're more of that modern Arnold Schwarzenegger, bubbleless pecs and thick rib cages and thickness all over the place. That's more bodybuilding and classic physique. So that's the symmetry component. And I think for the most part, we're seeing that. The size is that more two-dimensional, but you can have some fullness in the pecs and you can have some density in the arms as long as the density isn't distracting from the width. And we had that comment this year with some of the top pro men's physique competitors, where people were asking, their chests are kind of getting bigger and their arms are getting bigger and they're looking more like bodybuilders. And here's the fine line. The size and density can be there as long as it's not overly distracting to the width and the taper. So you always want to say it, I said it already, more width than density. So some fullness in the pecs, a little less squared up, but some fullness in the pecs, fine. Some development in the arms, good, but not to the point where it's so distracting and the muscle size is so thick in the chest and through the rib cage that it takes away from the taper and the width. And now on to that definition component. Men's physique competitors, y'all got to be ripped. Tight abs, delt striations, vascularity all over. From what you can see from the quads and from the hamstrings, we want to see a nice ripped, really, really lean physique. Very, very low level of body fat. Now, you don't have to be as low a level of body fat as a male bodybuilder where you want to see that graininess overall, but we really, really need to see that ripped, tight, defined, striated look in the men's physique category. Any follow-up on that?
Yes, first a question and then a comment. Can you, Sully, because I'd love for this to come from you, and maybe you have an opinion as well, Aubrey, talk to us a little bit about the ideal fit of the trunks, because we want these competitors to show the quad. I mean, I can see the calves, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you could speak a little bit to that, because I'm seeing some differences in what they're wearing on stage lately. The tightness, I'm referring to the tightness factor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. It's board shorts. It's not underwear.
Thank you.
So, and that is actually a real thing. We actually have seen some competitors coming out in what would be more underwear than board shorts, but it is board shorts. So it can be somewhat fitted on the legs, but not reminiscent of spandex from the 80s and 90s. Okay, they're not spandex shorts. That's not modern day swimwear. But yeah, there can be some fitting. The other thing is where they're wearing it at the waist. I have seen a tendency now for them to start getting hiked down, so you can start seeing the sternal notches, the V notches that go down into like the pelvic area for a male. Boys, pump them up just a little bit. There's a fine line between near burlesque and where your shorts should be.
It's not that kind of show.
It ain't that kind of show. Now, what you do at home on your own, that's up to you, but not in front of the audience. Fitted fine, but wrapped like like saran wrap, no go. That's a little bit too tight.
And the opposite happens too. I think there are some competitors who get on stage and they bought their shorts like way early in prep, and they're super baggy, and that does your physique no favors when you're trying to show your best package either.
Right.
I have seen that too, where they have to cinch that waistband so tight, and then they just have it looks like a little kid wearing daddy's,
Yeah. One thing that they can do with that material that's nice is just see who's a local seamstress. If it is baggy like that, and they can fix that no problem for an affordable rate. So don't just pull the string tight.
And you can go out to Suit You Swimwear or Swimwear Place du Jour and get a pair of board shorts, but I would recommend that you look for somebody who's actually making the board shorts for the men's physique competition. There's a different fit and a different look. I think that's where some of these really fitted spandex looking ones are coming from too. So buyer beware there. So you want to have like a little looseness, but you should be able to see like the outline, but not the detail, if you know what I mean. We don't need to see any of the real details poking through. But watch that fitting. And like I said, a lot of the swimwear places, I see a lot of competitors just running out and getting them, and that's where we're ending up with a lot of that bagginess that you talked about, where you like cinching them in and whatever. So yeah, get fitted a little closer to the show. Order appropriate. Don't wear your underwear. I literally have seen that. We have started seeing competitors come on with just like the long format underwear where you have like the flap in the front. We all know what the flap is for. Well, you shouldn't be seeing the flap in the front when you're on stage. Okay, that's appropriate for a urinal, but you don't want to give the urinal view to the audience.
I'm not judging in there.
You ain't judging. Nope. That ain't part of it.
I'd like to see more competitors dial in that lower back. Just spending ample time, because that sometimes makes all the difference in the placings.
Yeah, that is something we have seen from time to time, is either way too much thickness in the back with too many muscles like popping out, it distracts from the width, or none. So when you see a width and there's no trap development and there's no lower back, that's distracting from the physique. So yeah, we need to have some detail back there, but remember, it's more width than density. And be very, very careful with your back training. Don't just do chin-ups. Throw some rows, some deadlifts, some lower back work, some trap work in there, just to round out that back, so it gives us the best, the best rear view that you can possibly have. So when you avoid the details, it is distracting. And just be careful on your thickness. And again, just like we always recommend, practice all your posing. If you're if you think that you're a men's physique competitor and you start doing some bodybuilding or some classic physique photos, you go, wow, I'm really popping here. Maybe that's your better calling. Or if you're training for bodybuilding and you just don't have the density and your waist is really, really tiny, it might be your good calling. So try to pick accordingly based on your physique. And I hope that deep dive helped. Now, we say we get into some pose down. Let's start covering some shows. What do we got this week?
Okay, so on April the 26th, we had the Best of the Berg. And the show promoter is very close to me. She has been a mentor to me, actually, since I started competing with Fitness America. Her name is Stacy Longo, and she's an OG. She's in, I believe, the OCB Bodybuilding Hall of Fame. And at this show, she's had over 100 athletes.
The environment here today was smooth. It was super duper friendly. Everyone was simply amazing. Everyone supported each other. It was absolutely a wonderful show to do.
Any dad that could get his son to compete in something like this, to share that experience, you need to go for it. You only live once, so you might as well just get the experience out of it.
What made me want to compete in OCB? I have to say it was really the influence of my coach. He had a bunch of great things to say about OCB, and so picked a date, picked a show, did it, and I really loved it.
And on April 26th, we had the OCB Southwest Arizona show in Tucson, Arizona. And that was promoted by the lovely Yvette Robinson. She has tanned hundreds, if not thousands of booties at this point, including mine and Aubrey's. I don't know about you, Sully. I don't know. Yvette tan you as well?
No.
Nope.
I was out before this type of tanning. You got to remember,
Right.
I'm on cave paintings. Nothing.
Well, she's an OG as well. Her company is Beautiful Bronzing, and we're very fortunate at OCB to have her as a promoter as well.
And she's also a member of the OCB Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Victoria McElm Anderson, and today I competed in Bikini Debut, Bikini Novice, 35 Plus Master, and the Bikini Open. It has been a phenomenal experience.
My name is Avery Martin. I just finished up passing physique at the OCB Southwest Showdown. Just won my pro card.
All right, and our last show was the Spring Naturals. That was promoted by Ray Binkowski on April 26th in DeKalb, Illinois. Now, Ray is also an OG. He is one of the few promoters that have been around for 20 years or more. This is his 20th year promoting. And Ray, another fantastic turnout, almost 100 quality athletes. So our Spring Naturals.
Have to want it more than everyone else. Not just a little more, not just enough to talk about or try when it's convenient, but with an obsession that borders on madness. When they're sleeping, you're working. When they're complaining, you're adapting. When they're celebrating small victories, you're already focused on the next mountain. When they quit because it hurts too much, you push through the pain. Because the alternative, giving up on what matters most to you, hurts even more. This isn't about talent. Talent is overrated. This isn't about luck. This is about hunger. A hunger so deep that it consumes you. It's about wanting something so badly that you're willing to sacrifice what others won't. So ask yourself, what are you willing to give up?
All right, and time for the OCB Spotlight. So, just like we did last week, each one of us is going to pick one athlete to spotlight this go around. I picked Javonte Latimer. Now, Javonte Latimer, I ran into him at the No Gear Classic last year. He's a men's classic physique competitor. He won his class, was competitive in the overall, and as you can see here, this cat possesses it all. Great symmetry, beautiful balance, excellent posing skills, good degree of muscularity with a little bit more density. This cat's going to be dangerous going into the Yorton Cup.
So my pick is Angela Gadbois. I actually discovered her on Instagram because of her posing. And I didn't realize that she is fairly new in this sport. So in 2023, I've learned that she got her pro card at the OCB main event. And in also that same year that she won the overall and her class in the Hall of Fame show. Then a very coveted show, the Conquer, she was the runner up. And if you didn't know, now you know, she was third overall at this past Yorton Cup. And I would say, Angela, the sky is the limit for you. We love to see you on stage. I think everyone wants to emulate your posing. And I think really where I see her going is maybe just a little bit more glute development. Other than that, chef's kiss.
And my selection is Madeline McConnell. Not only is she drug-free, she is also vegan. So props to the power of plants. Yeah. She won the OCB Slayer Classic in Phoenix, Arizona in 2024. And then she went on to win not just her Class B at the 2024 Yorton Cup OCB Women's Championships, but the Open overall. And I will tell you, I was not at the Yorton last year, but when the video footage came out on YouTube, I watched each and every figure class. And let me tell you, when that class walked on stage, her physique was an absolute standout. She has the shoulder caps to die for, just striated enough, nice dense delts, incredible quad sweep, and really the epitome of an X frame. So very well done, Madeline.
I did have the honor of judging her, and I called her Maddie the Hammer because as soon as she came out, it was like you got hit over the head with a hammer. It was like, wow. Yeah.
It's hammer time. Wow.
Hammer time. Hammer time. And now it is time for pro tips. Again, a pro tip coming from the field. I love it. I keep going around all these shows and I'm running into people who are fans of the show and have been watching it. And this comes from Amy, who I was talking to at the Blaze of Glory. And Amy's getting ready to prep for a show. And her question was, I competed last year. After the show, I gained a ton of weight. I'm training again for another show and don't want that to happen again. Any tips on how not to balloon up after a show?
Oh gosh, definitely so many tips, but is it safe to assume, Amy, that you do have a coach? So if you have a coach, you want to follow that post-show plan. And oftentimes this is termed a reverse diet, where maybe, the first week every day that you just have 100 calories and more than you did last week. It depends on how your coach is coaching you and how your body responds. Also, this is kind of a wake-up call to you. What is your relationship with food? Are you either on or off? And how far is that pendulum swinging once now you don't have to follow a plan? The most sensitive time is post-show, I have found with myself. So you need a coach that is on red alert to help support you so that doesn't happen again. And hang in there, give yourself some grace, because this is very common.
1000%. And I'm going to go down a tangent based on what you said, Aubrey. Keep in mind that when you are post-show, that's when your body is the most receptive to adding fat cells. So to me, there's no better motivator than knowing that. So yes, Aubrey, have a plan. I would go so far as to say, ask your coach for that plan before your show so that you can mentally buckle into what's to come. So know the plan in advance. And, Amy, I don't know if you won your pro card, but this is an opportunity. Pros are as pros do. So even if you don't have that pro card yet, this is your opportunity to be a pro. You're training like a pro in the competition prep season. Train like a pro and act as if even in your off and growth season. So hopefully that's a motivator to you to just continue leveling up. And I hope that you reach out to us and let us know how post-show goes this time.
You got this.
Oh, I'm making her follow up with us because I know what show she's gearing up for, and I'm going to be
Sweet.
there at that one too.
Okay.
Hey, my pro tip on that is it's kind of a twofer. One, watch the crap. And it is so hard when you come off stage to put a stopgap on it. So what I had to learn for myself is that I had to put a timer on exactly how long I would eat whatever wasn't nailed down. Otherwise, a day would turn to a week, which would turn to a month, which would turn me into being obese man again. But the other thing is to remember that it took you 18, 20, 24, 32 weeks to get to where you're going. You can't transition back in a day. So I used to do a rule of thirds. Now, if you remember last week, we talked about having your baseline diet. You know exactly where you are when you began and how many calories you were eating and how much you weigh. To get back up there, that's the level that you want to get back up to, but leaner. And you can always put on more lean muscle tissue after a show if you're adding that nutrition back in correctly and you're decreasing your cardio and your training levels. So my rule of thirds was always, how long did it take you to lose that weight? Where was your starting point for calories? Where was your ending point for calories? And you add about a third of that deficit back in for 2 or 3 weeks, another third back in for 2 or 3 weeks, and the final third back in for 2 or 3 weeks. This way you're eating up, decreasing your calories, decreasing your cardio, decreasing your training levels, and going back into your off-season training, and you're swaying it in over about a 6-week period of time. We used to call it end game. As a matter of fact, I penned an article on this back in 2002 before it was like a really popular thing to do, when we started realizing that we all get fat in the off-season, and some of us end up developing eating disorders from it. So that would always be my end game, is to turn around and take 2 or 3 weeks in thirds. As long as you know where you were when you started, what your activity level was, you're going to decrease your activity level in 3 segments and increase your caloric intake in 3 segments, and keep the crap count down to a minimum. That is your best saving grace. All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of Natural Edge. It's been our pleasure. Please like us, please follow us, and please, down there in the comments, let us know we could do better. Constant evolution based on your feedback. So, with that, as always, train hard, be safe, and see you next episode.